Genius billionaire playboy philanthropist.
Why so serious?
I wish I knew how to quit you.
You talking to me?
Life was like a box of chocolates.
You can't handle the truth.
I see dead people.
Say hello to my little friend.
Here's Johnny.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. I'll be back.
Hey guys, and welcome to Picture This Film Reviews for our very special collection of episodes. We're going to be talking a lot about Jurassic Park, kicking off our Jurassic Park and Jurassic World viewing experience before we hit the brand new Jurassic World movie that's coming out. So before we get started, just to introduce ourselves, if you hadn't stopped in before or you need a refresher, I'm Dan.
Kayla.
And I'm Matt.
So thank you for joining us today. If you're unaware, this is going to be pretty similar to one of our normal episodes. We're going to be putting in the same rotation as normal. And then after this episode, things are going to change up a little bit different, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, guys. So typically the first thing that we do on each of our episodes, we go around the table. We ask each other how our week was, what we watched new, what we've seen exciting. So I'm not going to go ahead and keep talking the whole time. I'm going to go ahead and kick you over to my beautiful wife, Kayla. What have you seen this week?
Oh, I thought you were going to say beautiful and bad. I was like, okay.
She's beautiful too, guys.
Okay, so biggest highlight of the last week was we went to go see the Multiverse of Madness. And we saw that last Thursday. So it's been almost a week now since we've seen it. I think Dan and I's views on this kind of vary. I absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic movie. I don't think Dan enjoyed it as much as he wanted to, but it was A+. I loved it. I would go see it again. I love Doctor Strange, so of course I'm a little biased. He's my favorite. So this was going to probably be good for me regardless of what happened. As long as Doctor Strange didn't die, which he didn't. So sorry, spoilers, but he didn't die.
Well,
but Doctor Strange will be back.
If we're going to talk spoilers, maybe Doctor Strange actually did die. He did. One of them did.
Oh, stop. You're like spoiling, like spoilers, like major spoiler. Matt, we need to like bleep this out. No, but I think like what else? We finished this show on TV called From. It was really good. It was like a horror show, I'm sorry. But it was like great. I don't like that kind of spooky, creepy stuff. And like there was like times where I was pausing it because I was so scared. And I don't watch scary stuff at night, but Dan was making me watch it at night, and I was pausing it. And I was like, no, I don't want to watch it. But anyway, we got through it. And it was really good.
I would say on that massive cliffhanger of an ending. Sorry, but yeah.
No, it was good. What else? Did we do anything else? I feel like we watched another movie, but I don't remember.
On other than we started Mrs. Doubtfire, I think we talked about that possibly last week and then never finished it.
I feel like we definitely watched.
Well, we definitely watched some Jurassic movies, and
yeah.
We'll definitely be talking about that. So, not to cut my wife off, but hey, Matt, what'd you end up seeing this week, and how was your week overall?
Hey, I am doing okay. So far, so good in the week. I watched a couple things, both of which are TV shows. I started The Staircase, the new HBO series. I had seen the documentary. It's based around the was it Michael Peterson, I believe is the guy's name, who if you aren't familiar with the story, it's crazy. He was charged and convicted, not really spoilers because it happened, it's real life, look it up, of pushing he called in a 911 report that his wife fell down the stairs, and the wounds, and disgusting, but it didn't add up. And he was charged and convicted of murder. Come find out, 15 years before, his next door neighbor had also conveniently died falling down the stairs, and he was the last one to see her. It was a whole thing. But then a few years later, they were able to get him out because someone lied on the stand or something. So it's a whole thing. There's a documentary about it. And I think the documentary is on Netflix, but HBO has the actual show starring Colin Firth, Toni Collette, and Patrick Schwarzenegger. There you go. And it's pretty good.
Is Colin Firth plays the man that was convicted?
He does.
Oh, I don't know.
And he does it well, because I had seen the real guy in the documentary, so he does a pretty good impression. So I started that. They haven't released all the episodes, just the first 3 as of this recording. There might be more by the time this comes out. And then I also started Candy. We talked about it a couple weeks ago with Jessica Biel, my girl, on Hulu. And as of this recording, I believe there's only 2 episodes out. I've only watched the first one. I intend to watch the second one tonight. That's going to be released daily until all of them are out. I think there's only going to be like 5 or 6. And that first episode, whoo, doggy, on the edge of my seat.
Wow.
Awesome.
Well, check it out.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with us, Matt. And of course, I watch what Kayla watches. So
We watched Jackass.
Oh, that's true.
That's what it was.
Jackass.
We had friends over, and we
The newest
watched
one.
the newest one.
4.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to watch the movie ever again.
Yeah, we decided that was going to be a movie night with some of Kayla's new friends. So one of Kayla's friends and her husband came over, and we somehow ended up watching Jackass Forever. And I will tell you that nothing else will make, people from strangers to friends than cringing at some of the moments in Jackass Forever.
Oh my God, there was so many wangs in there. It was ridiculous.
It was like an episode of Euphoria.
Oh my God, dude, it was like crushed wangs,
All right.
wangs.
It was bad.
Spoiler alert. So yeah, I mean, they did what they typically do, and they made another movie out of it. And I'm thinking that the original cast crew is probably starting to wind down,
God.
but they might not. Maybe they'll do this until they're 70, 80 years
Oh
old.
my God.
You never know. But outside of that, guys, after we do the round table, we typically kick it over to the news person, which now is Mr. Matt Winstead. So Matt, why don't you tell us what's going on in the world of film, TV shows, and entertainment?
All right. That's nothing about McConaughey this week. Okay, not as much news this week either, but a few things. Obi-Wan had a trailer. I don't know if you guys saw that. I personally did not, but Obi-Wan, the new show on Disney, on the Disney Plus, had a trailer that everyone was talking about. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to check it out. Meg Ryan is in the news this week. She is set to direct and star in her first romantic comedy since the 90s.
Wow.
What Happens Later, co-starring David Duchovny. So those are 2 names that you haven't heard in a while that you never thought would go together. Meg Ryan and David Duchovny, rom-com.
And they're the leads.
They're the leads, and Meg Ryan is directing and starring. We talked about it a few weeks past when we did our Austin Powers show, but Mike Myers has once again hinted that a 4th Austin Powers is on the way. When asked about it, he said, exact quote, "I can neither confirm nor deny the existence or non-existence of such a project, should it exist or not exist." And
sorry to interrupt you, Matt, but his new TV show, I guess, is now streaming on Netflix. Was it the Pentaveret?
Yes, it is. I haven't seen it personally, but I've heard some not so great reviews, but we'll see.
We saw part of the first episode, and definitely different is all I could say about that one.
Okay. Well, I plan to check it out eventually. But anyway, the host kept pushing and Myers kept smiling and all but confirmed that a fourth movie is in the works. If you're a fan of the Saved by the Bell reboot on Peacock, sorry about your luck. After season two has wrapped, and after season 2 is done airing, there will be no more episodes. It has been canceled.
Oh shoot.
So no more Saved by the Bell. This is kind of random and right out of a soap opera. Soap opera star Steve Burton, best known for his role in General Hospital, has I don't really report on this type of thing, but this made big news. This was all over everywhere for like a couple days. Has separated from his wife, stating that her baby that she is currently pregnant with is not his. Again, not our normal type of news, but it made like major headlines, so I figured I'd report it.
Interesting.
And they've been married for like 20 plus years, like 25 years. And now all of a sudden her child that she's carrying is not his.
What's his
So,
name?
Steve Burton. He's best known as Jason Morgan from General Hospital. He's also roles on The Young and the Restless.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Cobra Kai, my show. Not my show, but I wish it was my show. But Cobra Kai, my thing. Season 5 trailer dropped. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. We have to say goodbye to Mike Haggerty, actor best known for his roles in Friends and Seinfeld, has passed away at age 67. Michael Keaton is in the news. He is set to direct and star in a new noir thriller called Knox Goes Away. Not much is known about what it is, but he is set to direct, which will only be the second time he's ever directed a film. And he's starring, so that's always cool. Oh, I'm totally wrong. I do have what it's about. My next slide. The new Michael Keaton movie follows a contract killer after being diagnosed with a fast form of dementia, is presented with an opportunity to redeem himself by saving the life of his estranged adult son. But to do so, he must race against the police, closing in on him as well, and a ticking clock of his own rapidly deteriorating mind. That sounds like a whew. So there you go. Fred Savage, Wonder Years guy.
Yep.
Older brother to Ben Savage from Boy Meets World. He's been directing a mess of episodes of the new Wonder Years reboot on ABC, and as he serves as an executive producer on that show. Well, not anymore. Mr. Savage has been let go immediately for inappropriate conduct. That's all the details we have on that.
I looked into that because I was curious about it, and apparently this isn't like the first time that
I saw that.
Something. And there's been like other allegations too of him being like a bully on like set and stuff like that. Because I saw apparently he was in a few episodes of Boys Meet World.
Yes.
As a professor or something, and there was like some inappropriate things that happened. So I'm just like, wow, I didn't realize that he was like an aggressor like that. But yeah, kind of Austin Powers related too. Because isn't he the mole?
Yeah, he was the mole. Molly. So as it stands, I can't imagine that Fred Savage will be in the fourth Austin Powers film, but you never know.
Unless they like put him in a chair and he goes like gets eaten by the crocodiles or alligators. These are sharks.
Avatar, The Way of Water has a trailer. I'm reporting a lot of trailers this week, but a lot of trailers dropped. So check it out. A lot of people are talking about it. I haven't watched it, but leave a comment. Tell me how it is, because I probably won't watch it. The trailer, I mean, because I just don't care that much.
Yeah. It was okay. We saw it at the
Doctor
Strange one.
Oh, okay. Well, then I may see it if I go see that or something. We're almost done here. Is this? No, not quite the last, but almost the last thing. Scream. That thing? Scream 6 has announced its first 4 cast members, and they are all from the last Scream, and they're not the legendary characters that you might expect to see. They are the names are Melissa Barrera, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, and Jenna Ortega. And if you don't know who they are, they were the twins in Scream 5 or Scream. And they were the boy and girl twin, and then they were obviously the two sisters that were the main characters, are all four returning for the new Scream.
Cool.
And I think next to last, Jack Keller. Sorry, Mr. Keller. He's best known for his role as the landlord in The Big Lebowski, but also had roles in Point Break, Waterworld, and Mad Men. Has passed away at 75. So another tragic passing. And I lied again, not even next to last. So Ezra Miller, we weren't sure what the Warner Brothers was going to do about him. They have reportedly, there was no official statement, but reportedly Variety is reporting that they are not replacing him as of this Flash movie. So there were talks like maybe they cut him out or reshoot someone else into the part. They are releasing the movie with Ezra Miller in the film. Now, what happens with future sequels is to be seen. And my last piece of news, Alec Baldwin, that guy. Not the negative news that we're accustomed to with Mr. Baldwin. He is actually starting a production company with Grey's Anatomy producer Anjul Nijam. I'm going to go with that. To form a film and television production company called Persona Entertainment. And their first film project is already underway. Is set to premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. It's called False Awakening, and Baldwin is set to produce and star. So, wow. Good job, Mr. Baldwin, for continuing to move on.
All right. Well, Mr. Matt, thank you for kicking off the news. And now, for the moment that you've all been waiting for, welcome to Jurassic Park.
You said the thing.
So guys, here we are. We're at the tip of our Jurassic Park episode. Before we launch into this awesome experience that we have, where we're going to find a way to describe, the movie, we're going to kick it over to the stats guy, who would normally be me, but due to the rotation, the fact I'm hosting this episode, I bypassed Kayla altogether and went to my other Jurassic Park loving person on the episode. And I'm going to kick that over again to Mr. Matthew Winstead. But don't worry, Kayla will get a chance to talk before the end of the episode.
I will.
I would hope so.
I have no opinion.
Okay, I had forgotten I was doing stats, but I have them, so we're good. So Jurassic Park is what we're here to talk about, kids, and we're going to talk a lot about it. It's a sci-fi action adventure film from 1993, runtime of 2 hours and 7 minutes, which puts it right at that. Might have to go to the bathroom point, but might be able to hold it just a little longer. Let's see. It was released on June 11th, specifically, of 1993. Anniversary coming up. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Music composed by the legendary John Williams. Starring Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. It is the massive blockbuster from Steven Spielberg about paleontologists Alan Grant and Ellie Sadler and mathematician Ian Malcolm are selected to tour an island theme park populated by dinosaurs created from prehistoric DNA. While the park's mastermind, billionaire John Hammond, assures everyone that the facility is safe, they find out otherwise when various ferocious predators break free and go on the hunt. This movie scored an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, 68% on Metacritic, and 92% of Google users like this movie. And of course, we watched it on HBO Max, and I believe it's also on Hulu.
Awesome.
You're good.
Thank you for sharing, sir. So, since I am hosting this episode, I also have the honor of talking about the Jurassic Park before my other colleagues here. And I got to tell you guys, I'm super excited. This is on my top 10 list, my top movie as far as all time. I'm not going to tell you at the end of my review what my rating is. I'm going to tell you right up front. This is a 10 out of 10 movie for me. I've got a ton of trivia on the tip of my mind. I got a lot of things I want to talk about. I could literally talk about this movie all day. I'm not going to though, because I got to share some screen time. But overall, a couple things I don't normally talk about. I'm going to start with the director, Steven Spielberg. I'm going to tell you, I don't think that he had any movie that came close to this one as the time period this one was released. His other big blockbuster hit before this would be E.T., Extraterrestrial. I'm saying before this was, I mean, he had others, but I'm saying as the top of the list, in my opinion, this is where we're at. So as far as the director choice, I think they made the all-time greatest decision on this. When the bids were being put in, another high-name director was interested in this film. It was James Cameron. A lot of you folks know him. He had a different vision altogether. He said that he wanted to go way darker, which Jurassic Park really didn't have that note. It had elements of it, but it wasn't a dark film. I think you get more of that when we talk about Lost World, for sure. But this particular movie, how they shot it back in the time that this was released, computer animation was not a big thing, right? So a lot of the animals that they put in here, the dinosaurs that they did when they shot pieces of the dinosaurs, they used animatronics or puppets to show you like parts of the T-Rex, the clicking of the nails of the raptors, all those kinds of things. But originally, one scene in here where you have the herd of the Gallimimus that's going through, it was actually, I believe, shot on Spielberg's ranch. Like that was the only thing that was going to have CGI dinosaurs in it. But the production company, which unfortunately I can't remember the name off the top of it, put that together, that scene together, and showed that to Spielberg. I'm sorry?
Amblin.
I don't think it was.
Isn't that his production company?
I'm not exactly sure the name. I'll have to check. Maybe we'll spot check it later. But again, when they showed him the Gallimimus like running the herd together, it completely changed his outlook as far as animation in the movie. So all the scenes where you have the big body shots of the Tyrannosaurus Rex and all this, that was all done in CGI. So there were elements when the dinosaur is ripping off like the roof of the car, that was done with the animatronic. But when you have the full body shots, the running, showing the full bodies, that's CGI. And that's because he was so impressed with it. And I believe the other gentleman that was working with Spielberg on the film made the comment, wow, we're going to be extinct, which eventually found its way into the movie. So I thought that was pretty cool. And just how all these things are intertwined, something that always sticks out to me, how one movie influences another. Because of how well the CGI did here, George Lucas, who's known for working with the Star Wars and creating Star Wars universe, saw that CGI had came so far that he then decided to shoot the prequel after this. So, and some of the shots are actually shot in the same place, which I thought was kind of cool. And sorry, random trivia fact off of where I want to be. But the cast that you have, Sam Neill, one of my all-time favorite actors, near and dear to my heart. I think he was perfectly casted in this role as Dr. Alan Grant. We had Jeff Goldblum, who was brought in to be Ian Malcolm, and Laura Dern as Ellie Sadler. And I got to tell you guys, like, I couldn't have imagined a better cast. And then Attenborough as John Hammond. I know we talked about it at the front. Spielberg halted production. Again, we're still talking about director. Spielberg halted the production so that Attenborough could be part of this and that Sam Neill could be part of this. Sam Neill had just wrapped up another film and only had one weekend prior to shooting Jurassic Park, which I believe all in front of the camera took about 4 months to shoot. It was 2 years overall to put together. So super crazy effort, but he had a vision. He went for it. So mad props. Can't talk about Jurassic Park without talking about Michael Crichton as well. I mean, the film is based on the book written and released in 1990. The rights to this movie were sold before the movie had even, or I'm sorry, before the book had even been finished being written, because they figured it was going to be such a success. And man, they hit it out of the park. Michael Crichton was originally brought in to write the screenplay. There was another screenwriter that was brought in. Steven Spielberg typically likes to bring in his own people to write screenplays, so it was a combined effort. But overall, a lot of that original vision did carry over, I feel, from the book. But overall, there were certain things that were changed. Like Michael Crichton is huge in science fiction. We know him from movies like Sphere, which is another novel he had. There's so many television shows and other things Michael Crichton's involved in. So Spielberg did a lot of things in the movie, like the little DNA guy that gives you all the information about how the dinosaur DNA is extracted. Yeah, the accent's awesome too. But all that was condensed down to that to kind of take some of the meat and potatoes out of the scientific explanations and make it easier for us, to the viewer, to understand, which was a light way of doing and really appreciate it. So again, you know, you start getting these scenes. I think one of the ones that stands out to me the most is when they first get to the park and they get out of the car. Sam Neill grabs Laura Dern's head, or Ellie Sadler's head, and like turns her head to look at the huge dinosaur right off to the side, and they get out. And again, we have that line delivered, "Welcome to Jurassic Park." Sam Neill's over the side, like holding his legs because he's just lost the ability to walk. And you have to imagine these guys are looking up at a giant X that's written in the background, right? They're like looking up at it. They don't see that, but you look at the end product, you can feel how overwhelmed and how crazy that moment was for them. So they take you there. How would you react if you were put into a world where there were prehistoric creatures that you studied your entire life, and now you're seeing in person and flesh and blood and bone? How great an experience that must be. We start getting into the part where it goes awry, which again, Michael Crichton's no stranger to this either, right? Like we have another park that he's written about that the attractions started to turn to kill the guests. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Is it popular?
Yes. Westworld.
Oh shoot, that's right. That was
so again, kind of like a kickback to that. Just amazing that again, what happens. I feel like Wayne Knight, for the part that he was in, did a great job. I was reading he was really torn up about having to film. In order to film his scene, they turned every fire hydrant in the whole studio on top of that little mound of dirt and clay. He's getting soaked right before his big death scene. He hated to film it, but in the end, he said he loved the end result. It was just rough to film, but again, it's a perfect. I'm gonna wrap what I'm saying. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off on a lot of tangents. I'm just so excited about this movie. Overall, there's a perfect mix, in my opinion, of CGI and animatronics that give you, in my mind, even today, viewing experience. Like you can tell some of it's CGI, but it still holds up today visually. Because of that, this movie we've talked about before, other movies that have been entered into the Congress's vault that are to be saved forever. This is one of those films. This is one of the top 250 films to save. Really, when you sit down and watch it, I'm not going to go on anymore because I want you guys to share your experiences. But I mean, I can't say enough just how, for the time that they made this, just how everything came together to make what is, in my opinion, one of the best movies of all time, if not the best movie of all time to me. I just want to thank you guys for watching the movie. And again, there's a lot of scenes I hope you guys are going to dive into. I could talk about every single one of them, but I'm not going to. but yep, I'm going to kick it off to whoever wants to go next.
Go ahead.
You sure, Matt?
Yep.
Okay. So I mean, Dan said a lot of what I was thinking, but of course, this is a movie that I've seen hundreds of times, saw when I was younger, and even to this day, it has the same effect. There are certain scenes in this movie that scare the crap out of me. Even, like especially the raptors. Oh my gosh. And even like watching, other stuff, I'm just like, the raptors are really what get me, are so creepy. The clicking of the nails, the way they jump. So that really resonated with me this time again, because we're watching it with our children and they're hiding and I'm hiding and I'm like, oh my God, this is like freaky. And but that's one thing I remember from my childhood watching this, and it still holds up to this day. I mean, like Dan said, the CGI is incredible. And the animatronics, the amount of detail that went into the eyes, to everything, the way that the T-Rex looks right through the Jeep window, and you're like, oh my God, that is spooky. But you had said, what would you do if you were a scientist and you saw these things living and breathing in front of you? And I know what I would do. I would find the next little baby Triceratops and I would take you for a ride. I would go riding right on that thing, or the thing that rams into stuff. I would, honestly. And that's something, since I was younger, that I want to do.
That's something you and Dr. Alan Grant would have in common, is his favorite animal or dinosaur was Triceratops, even though we talk a lot about raptors, and so is yours. So that's awesome.
But anyway, that's the joy that should spark, that sparks in each child that watches this. I mean, when you think about dinosaurs, well, obviously I'm not a scientist, so I don't think about dinosaurs and be like, oh my God, when you think about dinosaurs, films, what have you, pop culture, this is what comes to mind. Dinosaurs and Jurassic Park go hand in hand. They can't go without each other. And that is probably ingrained, just like The Wizard of Oz, in everybody's brain. There's so many iconic moments that literally almost every scene, there is something that is iconic, and you remember it verbatim in your mind. And what else? I don't want to feel like I'm going out on a tangent either. There's just a lot of stuff. Rewatching this as I'm older, I always tend to like the quirky, eccentric kind of people. I loved Ian Malcolm in this. He was my favorite character. And I can see the appeal of Jeff Goldblum and why they would want and casted him in this, because he's absolutely perfect. I feel like that is Jeff Goldblum. And I'm going to kind of creep this in a little bit, because it kind of goes into what our second movie, Jurassic Park 2, whatever is it Jurassic Park 2?
Lost World.
Oh, Lost World. Okay. It kind of goes hand in hand. I feel like they didn't do his character justice in the second movie, which really saddens me looking back on this first movie, because he was such a wonderful out there character that there's nobody quite like him, and there was nothing quite like him in that movie. So he added that perfect dynamic to Sam Neill, who's this not really broody guy, but this guy who's a scientist who doesn't want children, wants nothing to do with children, but loves dinosaurs. So like Dan said too, the cast was done so well. I mean, was this Laura Dern's one of her first films? I'm not sure if it was.
I'm not sure.
But she was really wonderful in it too. I'm not really a huge Laura Dern fan, but the way they played off of each other was fantastic. The children were great in this as well. There was something that I wanted to touch base on. And what was it? Oh my gosh. I'm thinking back now and I don't even know what to think. But this movie, I think, was perfect. Perfect for its time. It kind of encapsulates. Thank you. The 90s. It's perfect 90s movies, 90s vibe, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's probably one of the best movies in the 90s to come out. And props to Steven Spielberg too for having Michael Crichton come on and be the screenwriter, because whatever happened in the book, I have not read the book, so I can't speak to that, but whatever they did however they did, translated so well on screen that you can't help but to call this what it is, which is a masterpiece. There is nothing like this movie, not even the other films come close to this. I'm sorry, but they don't. No other movie kind of touches what this movie did for so many people, so many kids, so many lives probably now. So I give this movie a 10 out of 10. It's fantastic. You know, it's a movie we will probably watch 100 times. I know our kids loved it. And it was so good. And it's so nice to watch it and to just think about, you know, oh my God, I don't know. It's wonderful to think about all the things that it's influenced and what it is now, and to think it's coming full circle now, how many years later? Almost 30 years later. So that's wonderful. 10 out of 10.
Very good. Very cool. You guys are just because the viewers I'm sure will know at this point, and you guys are probably unaware, you're very laggy.
Oh,
so
okay.
so I just I don't know, nothing we can do about it, but just to make you guys aware, like your audio is fine, but you're slow moving, like,
Oh no.
yeah. So but not entirely, just certain moments. So I just wanted to acknowledge for the viewers, because I'm sure they at this point have realized it, and we do know. So that brings it to me. We're going to wrap things up. Let's see. This is one of the 1001 movies you must see before you die, for a reason. In fact, it's on page 818. I was going to read from it, but there's really nothing in there that hasn't already been said. It's basically just a giant synopsis. So again, this movie still holds up all the way across the board. The special effects are real. Like I didn't realize they used any CGI. So that was actually learning new things to me. Because I knew they had done a lot of like real, like animatronic things, but maybe I had been told or watched something that told me that they used CGI at one point, but I had forgotten. So that was interesting, because I'm sure at this point CGI was very new and not a lot of people were doing it. And if they were doing it, nowhere near this level, because if you see anything CGI'd from this era, it doesn't hold up. I can think of this and maybe Terminator 2, James Cameron, hello. As far as CGI goes, that still really holds up to this day. I called it magical. I made a note to myself that this movie is magical, and that is because I watch it and I'm enthralled. And what I did for this movie and the next movie that we're going to talk about, I actually set my phone down and made myself not touch my phone the entire 2 hours and 7 minutes that this was on, because so often, especially in today's world, I feel like we're watching movies and we're always like this. And that, unless we're at a movie theater, and not everyone, but a lot of people. I'm 100% guilty of it. Even movies I've never seen before, if I'm watching it at home, you best believe this is in my hand. Or if it's not, it's sitting right next to me. And I wanted to, because I used to love these movies, and I still do. But I wanted to feel that love again. And I felt like I really want to get into this. And the only way I knew how to do that was to just completely shut everything else out and only focus on the movie. And it worked, because I already loved it, but I fell back in love with it. I was totally committed to these characters. I was totally committed into this world. That so much so that I went right into the next one, because the same way, no phone, because I wanted to just continue. And then when it ended, I was like, oh, 3's not as good, but do I want to watch 3 right now? I didn't. I need to pace myself. But my point is, I really, really enjoy these, and they bring you in, and they hold you there. It's magical. They make you believe everything that they're doing, much like the Wizard of Oz, much like what else have I called magical? I've called a few things magical on here, I think. And if I say that, that means it makes me 100%, yes, makes me 100% believe what they're doing. Like, I believe that Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern saw that that dinosaur, you know, even though I know they didn't, I believe they did. The attack scene, of course, Jurassic Park has now become known for like the first big attack scene. Well, that was done first here, obviously, and we all know which attack scene I'm talking about. The attack scene. It's both horrifying and makes the movie what it is and sets the tone for what's to come. And the sequels. It was a bold choice, I thought, to have the first time we see a dinosaur physically, really, I mean, despite there was the raptor thing in the beginning with the worker, but we didn't really see that a whole lot. So the first time we actually see a dinosaur physically attack somebody, it's two children. Like, that was a bold move by Mr. Spielberg. Like, he could have just grabbed the guy on the toilet first, or, you know, gone anywhere else with it. But the dinosaur goes after the car with the kids, which is terrifying. Because I mean, if and because I, you know, again, no phone, I'm totally zoned in. I'm like, oh my God, if I was this 11-year-old boy and 13-year-old girl, I'd be dead. I mean, I would freak the F out, as they were. But great casting, as already said. Everyone in this was perfectly cast. There wasn't a single person that I thought could have been replaced, because everyone felt real and authentic. I also give this a 10 out of 10, as if there was ever any doubt. I love this movie. I've always loved this movie. This movie is my favorite of the series. So, of course, as we go, my ratings won't be as high, but they're all up there. They all mean something to me. Dan, I remember having action figures of this with you as children, and you know, we would set it up and play, and we each had our own, and then I'd go to your house, and you know, it was a whole thing, and it just brings back a lot of memories. And I was glad that I was able to sit back and really watch it for the first time in years, and I mean, really, really watch it.
And I agree with you. It was a big part of growing up in our childhood. And you just have to appreciate a couple closing thoughts on this. This was the first time that we saw Jeff Goldblum and Sam Neill, and again Laura Dern, you know, on screen together. And for us to be living in a time where they're going to be reunited, and what will be I'm assuming will be the last movie of the Jurassic franchise. It's something to look forward to, and regardless of how it goes down, it's going to be kind of the end of an era, or passing of a torch, however you want to look at it. So really excited to see everybody come back. And yes, we have Mr. Wong, who's been he made a huge comeback after his first few minutes in the first movie. He had a prominent billing there in the credits, and then to become one of the most evil masterminds of the first and second Jurassic World. And I'm assuming he will also be back in the third installment. If not, I'll definitely be surprised. But crazy there. And a couple other things too, just how forward this movie was in scientific research at the time of what they understood dinosaurs to be. You know, it was up to this point in time, a lot of folks thought that dinosaurs were cold-blooded, that they didn't move around or do anything in the rain, really. Like when it rained, like they just shut down basically. But you see during the rain, the T-Rex, you know, on your big attack scene, like you were talking about, also running down the Jeep, all those things. Spielberg wanted to draw the parallels between birds and dinosaurs, and now we're seeing more of a link to that scientifically than we ever have in the past, that to the point where they think they almost quack like ducks and had feathers, which I think it would definitely had a different feeling if Tyrannosaurus Rex had jumped out and started quacking at people
Oh
other
my
than
God.
roaring. But man, like how this has influenced our perception of dinosaurs and time. And a couple of things that were cool. Steven Spielberg made the decision that he wanted to have large raptors in this movie. Up at that point, they did not find any fossils that were close to the size of these raptors that were featured in Jurassic Park. So he's like, you know what, we're going to make them bigger. They made a decision, they rolled with it. So I think they said that scale wise, these things are supposed to be close to like 10 feet in length, which is super freaking creepy by itself. And then later, I believe it was around 2005, they found the first fossils of what they designated as a Utah raptor that were about this size. So really crazy. I know that somebody had made a joke from the crew that's like, just crazy. We filmed it, and then a few years later they found it, right? And then Kayla was telling us about a story where there actually has been a mosquito that's been found from the prehistoric time that actually does potentially hold dinosaur DNA. It's crazy how life imitates art, and sometimes art imitates life.
Yeah.
And just how they transcribed to this film. And there's a lot of films that we don't understand at the time that have such a huge impact on people. I believe after this movie released, there probably a lot more people interested in the field of paleontology than ever before, which honestly is pretty cool. Learn about things that existed before our time. But just amazing that you can sit there, you can watch a movie that kind of says, okay, what happens when you put two things separated by eons or waves of time, put them together and on an island, and see how it rolls. And Ian Malcolm, he was a chaos mathematician.
Yeah.
And he's talking about life was going to find a way. They had female dinosaurs that were made with amphibian DNA that changed their sex because they weren't around other male dinosaurs. And it's just crazy. They work like a small details. Last random trivia fact I'm gonna give you, then I'm gonna shut up. That when Grant is on the helicopter, right, when they first are starting to land, they hit the turbulence, everybody's buckling up. He can't find a one to plug in, so he ties the two together. There are two what they would call female receptacle pieces.
Oh, okay.
He found a way to secure himself, and that's reiterated again with Ian Malcolm. Life will find a way.
Wow.
So just one of those small things you don't think of at the time. And then I don't know, there's a lot more trivia facts. I encourage you to look them up on IMDb. A lot of information, a lot of things that we couldn't possibly cover here in the time that we have. Please go watch the movie. If you are planning on seeing the new Jurassic World, come watch this one, find out where the base is. And that's all I'm gonna leave us with on that. But please, also thank you for tuning in with us today. We are on Instagram at Picture This Film Reviews. We're also on Facebook at Picture This Film Reviews as well. And then Matt, what was our YouTube channel that we use, sir?
We are at youtube.com/Studio29Films.
Awesome. Then I'll kick it over to Matt. Why don't you take us away?
Everyone have a great week. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about the Lost World Jurassic Park. Love one another.